You're listening to SayconTalks with SayconTalks.
Hello. This is SayconTalks. And yes, you are listening to SayconTalks. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am really excited about this episode because it is featuring a panel of some of my favorite people, some of my favorite actresses, with many thanks to Miss Nakia Mathis, who has the Instagram page our_black_tresses, actresses hair. She's amazing. And then we also had casting director Erica Hart, actress Susan Hayward, director Camilla Forbes, actress Crystal Dickinson, and of course myself, SayconTalks. And many thanks to the Brooklyn Cellar with Malika Samuel and Maurice Zuro. So this was just a really exciting panel. You guys, I just had some really lovely, delicious tea. It's a little cool down now because it's late, and my main purpose is to get you guys to hear some excerpts from this panel that we did. I did a little bit of stretching to relax and unwind. My favorite thing right now is my foam roller. So if you guys don't have a foam roller, use one. You know, always got to start off with a little bit of health and wellness just to get it going. But with no further ado, check out our fabulous Hairversations panel that we had at the Brooklyn Cellar. And you're listening to SayconTalks.
Great. And often people will ask me questions or people will say something, and then without even realizing what they're doing, they'll just look at me. And then I'll be like, well, I guess I'm here for a reason. I understand. But just realizing that your comfort level is the most important. I always say for women, black women, if you go in for a lawyer, what would your hair be as a lawyer? Whatever Erica's hair would be as a lawyer. What would Erica's hair be as a doctor? What would Erica's hair be, homegirl on the street? Whatever that your answer is the correct answer. Because people are going to like you for your natural hair. People are going to hate you for your natural hair. Regardless of where they are on that spectrum, most people are not going to understand. So you're there to teach them, right? So it's very important that your comfort level is the most important thing.
I would absolutely agree with that. I always see that auditions for me are an opportunity to learn more about the play that I didn't know. The play, the film, whatever it is that I didn't know. And who's teaching me that is the actor that's walking in. And so it's a lot of times I think there is a misnomer that, the director knows exactly what they, no clue. Truly, no clue. But this is the beginning of the conversation, I think, of collaboration. The same way that a director, like I would collaborate with my set designer and say, okay, I'm thinking, circular. Show me something like that. And they come with a million different circles. That's the same kind of conversation when an actor walks in, physically what they're wearing, with the vocal intonation, choices that they make with the line, and here. And so I think, as individual, it should be just as individual as you are, and not trying to fit into or figuring out what the director wants, because the director does not know.
And I've had conversations with white casting directors. And I'll never forget, I'm not going to name names, but I'll never forget a casting director who I love dearly. We were talking to an actress. She's not here. Well, I was like, is she here? I was going to give her a little nod. But we were talking to an actress in the waiting room, and she was like, so let's talk about your signature look. And we felt she was talking about the specific role we were talking about. I was like, well, I'm going to get into this conversation right here. And she was like, so let's talk about your signature look. And we were like, what does that mean? And she was like, the look that you wear on, every day. And we were like, oh, well, that's going to be different depending on the role. That's just going to be different. And she was like, no, but what's your signature look? And we looked at each other and we were like, oh, this is something you're just not going to understand. This is just something you're not going to understand. This is a long conversation. And she was like, no, but I want to understand. And we were like, okay, so we spent 45 minutes just talking. And that was just scratching the surface. we as Black women don't see hair as just hair. We see it as currency. We see it as, you know, how you're brought up. We see it as a crown, and how that is not talked about a lot. And so it's a big discussion that needs to be had, and it's very important that you just rock your natural look and your style, whatever that may be.
Because you could feel like my signature look is bone straight, blown out, flat iron every day. That's my signature look. But if it's raining the whole summer, it ain't your signature. It can be signature all in your head, but
That's not your ministry that way.
that's not your ministry that way.
Speaking about that 45-minute conversation you had, and I'd like to open this up to the actresses as well. What are the toughest conversations you can remember having with your collaborators, whether that was someone who was in creative or someone who was on the run crew in order to continue things, or the AD, say, like the conversation Kara had, I can't do that tomorrow. What are some of the tough conversations you've had, and what do you feel came out of it?
Yeah, I think, honestly, and ladies jump in, I think when I'm with someone who doesn't understand is the toughest conversation. A white girl can come in with a messy bun, and that's okay. It's not messy, it's a bun. A Black girl can come in with a coiffed updo, and it's messy. Just telling you, that's just what it is. That's just what it is. I've had conversations with people who I do love and admire, and they'll just say, that's different. Now, not bad, not good, but different. And that word can be seen is just a word that makes it a conversation. You know? I was going back and forth if I was going to tell the story, not that I'm going to tell the story. So I know there was a huge show that was happening a few years back, and they cast a Black woman in the lead of the show. And the director called her and said, "Can we do something with your hair? Can we make it more manageable?" And she said, "What do you mean by that?" And she was like, just can we make it a little bit more manageable? And she was like, I'm sorry, can you use another word? Like, what do you mean? And he was like, tone it down. And she said, no, I wanna rock my natural look. And she's fired. So like I said, people are going to love you for your natural look. People are going to book you for your natural look. People are not going to book you for your natural look.
Wait, Erica, she had already been hired, or she was on the cusp of getting it.
She got the lead. I was like, the contract. Most of the contracts that we sign on Broadway, off Broadway, television, co-star, lead role, most of the contracts have a little clause that says you will do your hair in the style that is required by the people who direct you to have your hair. Now, they don't talk to you about the expense that you're spending when they say, oh, your hair looks so straight. It's because you bought a $500 straight wig and showed up with it. But they're not necessarily putting that money into it, but they put that clause in there that says, so then they can use that clause to say, oh, well, you didn't do what we said for you to do. So they can rent my wig.
No, go ahead.
No, but it's just that, again, people don't understand, and it's just your power to be like, fuck it, this is me, and if you don't like me, then that's your problem. But this is how I roll my hair because this is who I am.
I think along the lines of that is that I think the people who don't understand the individuality of us. Is that my hair is not like every single one of us in here. When we come sit in your chair, that's a different experience. I'm not the same Black woman. It's not. You're not going to treat my hair the way you treat her hair. You just can't, because it's just different. It doesn't work like that. So I find that that's the most complicated conversation to have. It's like, I know you had such and such in your chair, but that's not me. Right. Or I know you had somebody else with locks in your chair, but that's not me. Right. This is me. Right. This is the things that I need for my, like the same thing like you were saying the whole time, Nikki, about the wigs and blah blah. Whatever you use, whatever works for you is the same.
Yeah. Because like with me, oh, you're so exotic, you're so different. Oh, look at that. Where are you from? Blah blah blah. Someone else who has a different hair texture, oh, you're funky, you're fun. That's so fun. Like these words that aren't detrimental or mean or anything, but the way that you can spin it and the definition that they can have is just like, but you didn't say nothing about her. Like she looks a little messy to me, but like everything is it's
so even the conversation is a little coded.
It's coded with words that are don't mean anything. It's not saying like you're ugly or you're ratted or like whatever. They're just saying it in a term that they would never say to a white girl.
Yeah. And I think it's not just, and it's, I've sat in chair with black women and black men behind there that do that. So it's not, it's just because and you have to think that you have to understand that they want to do their job well too.
Yes.
Right? I'm not trying to defend people's bad behavior because people have said some outlandish shit to me. Okay? But what I'm trying to say is that you have to understand that they want to do a good job, so they want to be like, oh, I know because I want to do a good job. Yes. But it's your job to be able to work with that, and you know your hair best. Yes. So you can have a conversation and say like, okay, what do you think you're trying to do? I'm trying to do that. Well, this is what I usually do. This is what I don't like. This is what I do like. And just be kind enough to know that they want to do a good job, and you want to do a good job, and you have to, even when people do not treat you kindly. Because that has happened to me. I've literally sat in a chair where a man was like, you need to cut this. This is too much hair.
Yeah.
Who the fuck?
You put kerosene in your hair.
Or whatever. But you just have to know yourself enough to be able to be like, okay, that's your problem. That's not my problem. Okay, well, I'm not cutting my hair, so let's think of a solution.
I heard at least two-day co-star. We're not going to shave no hair.
I want to bring a point up though, because I think what we're also talking
for like a quick job.
Yeah, and I think what we're also talking about is who is on the other side and making these decisions, and what is the gaze and the prism that we're having these conversations. And until we have more folks on the other side of the table and designers on the other side of the table, these conversations, because we just spent a whole hour talking about the nuances of 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, and how every single texture takes a different methodology, and people spend their lives studying this. So I think if we are making an investment and we're talking about EDI and equity and diversity and inclusion amongst all media forms, amongst all storytelling, that has to go across the board. Who are the folks behind the table? Who are the designers that we've been paired with, right? Because then we can really have those kinds of nuanced, several layered conversation. And if not, then it does stay on the surface and we get relegated to, window dressing.
And unfortunately, until that happens, you have to be your own ambassador.
You're absolutely right.
Unfortunately.
You're absolutely
it's not great, but to have an attitude with it is not going to make any solution. It's not going to happen.
Then you're
so you just have to come up with, you have to come up with solutions and find a way to have the conversation. No, nobody wants to do it, and yes, it's fucked up, and yes, it's hard. That's all true, ladies. It's all and gentlemen. It's all true.
My boyfriend is an actor, and he just did a guest on a major network show. He walked in, and the hairstylist gave him the clippers and said, "Can you do something?" And he was like, "Yeah, I don't want you to do it." Right? It happens to everybody.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You've had your hand up for a while, and I'm not necessarily going to be taking all the questions right now, but is it pertinent to what's going on?
It's come up in different ways at different points.
Go for it.
It's on topic. But this has been a...
We'll be back in a moment. For pictures and video of the episode you're listening to, don't forget to visit SayconTalks on Instagram. You can also see more images and video at Vintage Pop Soul on Instagram, and you can also search SayconTalks on YouTube.
The challenge that I've had with my manager,
representation,
who has no concept around even when I walk into a room, we have to debate this a lot because he's like, oh, they can see past.
No.
What? No. What are you? I'm like Don.
No.
No, they cannot. This is not. You need to understand that when I come to you with the conversation about what's happening with my hair, it's because when I come into the room, that 99% of the time, white casting director can see beyond what is in front of them, right? Yeah. And you as an Asian man can't understand that. You take it for granted you're like, oh no, they've seen you with like, maybe they that's not, they're not gonna be like, oh yeah, last month she can change up her look if we want to paint her that way. Once I've made it as a Zoe Saldana, then you can make me an avatar. But I'm not there yet, right? So as I'm building my blocks, you're gonna take me at face value. So this is something that I have with my very reps, let alone before I'm entering the room. You know, like me and him have to have a conversation. I'm a black woman, you're an Asian man. There's no concept of the socio dynamics that I'm dealing with when I step into a room. Like if my hair is curly, I just had that conversation with you about when my hair is short and natural, I get pigeonholed into lesbian roles. Versus when my hair is straight. Versus when my hair is straight, like it's affected my ability, like how many callbacks I'm having. It took me 2 years to arrive at a place of being like, okay, I know what's working and what's not working. I changed my hair color, I've changed my hair texture, I've done
there's all this trial and error that other people
have been evidential. But I found that when my hair was straight, I was booking more work. Right? Versus when my hair was natural and short, I was getting lesbian pigeonholed. Right? For like 6 months. Like I took time. 2 years before
I'll tell you something interesting. Working from theater to TV film to, you know, I have noticed that I feel like in the theater world, it seems like there's a little bit more leeway for you to have natural hair or whatever. I feel like theater people, they just see the vision and they can, well, not all of them, but a lot of them can imagine, oh, we'll throw a wig on her. Can she sing that song? We'll throw a wig on her. They can just imagine it, you know. And I think in other genres, people are really literally just waiting for something to walk into the room or someone to walk into the room and like spark something inside of them. And they don't necessarily understand the social political foundation that's inside of them that makes them more attracted to a certain style or a certain look or whatever. They're not necessarily thinking so deeply about it. So then when they say to you, well, just straighten your hair, when you're like, I'm tired of straightening my hair, or I don't want to straighten my hair, that it feels like, well, why don't you just do it? It feels like such a simple thing. But they can't necessarily, people who just want you to just do something different don't understand that there's a part of you that feels like you're being false. As an actress, you are portraying a role. You're putting on a role. But in your day-to-day life, there's a part of you that does not want to feel false, right? But if you're doing a show where you're required to look a certain way for the show, then, you know, a good chunk of your life is about wig prep, getting ready for the show, going to bed. The same way that if you're singing, preparing your voice, whatever it is that you're doing. So it's so time-consuming that it ends up bleeding over into your day-to-day life. So then you be like, I want to be a natural all day, but I ain't got time to do no 3-hour twist out every night.
So, real quick, to follow up on that with particularly the performers on the panel, what have been some things when you've bumped up against that you have switched up to say, this is the difference between my personal life and my professional life? Was it investing in clip-ins? Was it making sure you had that wig that your natural hair can duplicate? What are some of the things that you've gone back to your business and said, this will help me show up in the room the way I need to be that day and separate it from who I am in my life?
I know in terms of me and my relationship with my hair, I know I tend to, like I said, I rock wigs often, and that's because it takes so much time for me to style my natural hair. I do love it, and I also actually I get it blown out straight sometimes. So right now it's blown straight, and I remember going into, I booked a role and my hair was blown straight. So I told them, hey, my hair is done. You know, I asked to speak to the hair team. You know, it was like a recurring on a TV show. So I asked to speak to the hair team, and I said, hey, my hair is done. It's natural. I'm nervous about, heat damage, so I'm going to come prepared. So they were like, great. So I come on set, and the first day, they let it go. The second and third day, a non-person of color, begins to apply heat and continues to apply heat, and I'm just, squirming in the chair because I was like, I already had this conversation with you. So because of that, and because I need to maintain the integrity and the health of my natural hair, I always go to the audition with a wig, the wig that I want to be seen in, the choice that I've made. And then when I book the role, then I'll talk to the hair person and say, hey, I'm going to come in exactly how, this is what they love, you know. So I'm already providing the solution even before I get the job. And the solution is exactly how I want to look. I'm going to bring it on set. I don't have to worry about the manipulation of my natural hair. Do what you want to this wig, and also rent it from me, like Adrian was saying. Yeah.
Hold on. To follow up on rent it from me, is that in your contract? Is there a number attached to that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I would love. Well, so I haven't been a series regular, so I would love for a series regular. But but I know, like, in terms, if I have a wig, then I'm going to be talking to my reps, letting them know, hey, I'm going to be bringing a wig on set. Can you finagle it? What they should do is when you get on set, say, hey, oh, this is your wig. We're supposed to be renting this from you. But they're not going to say that. Exactly. So
even your shoes, your pants.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So there's a certain amount of education that we as business professionals need to talk to our reps, to advocate for ourselves, to say.
Exactly. So that you don't get to the place where you get in the chair and are like, okay, I know they're supposed to rent it and they didn't say anything, and I feel like I don't want, you don't want to make any waves, because especially if you're not a series regular, you're a guest in their house, so you don't want to be a diva. You're always nervous about that. So
What kind of bump are we talking?
I don't remember the exact figure. Do you have any thoughts on that, Adrian? In terms
about renting a wig?
Yeah.
I mean, name your price point in my mind. I've done the spectrum of them renting the wig for me. One season I had sew in, and they paid for the hair, the maintenance of that, whole process. But I mean, I say think of it just as, if you were doing a commercial or a TV show and you wore your wardrobe, for the project, and they rent that from you. It's the same thing. So if you want to charge them $500 to rent a wig from you, charge them $500. But let your agent, your manager, let them have it.
If they're worth their salt, they will have that conversation.
But definitely don't wear a wig and not let them pay for it.
So I don't know if there's going to be an answer there, but I would suggest if you're in the Screen Actors Guild Union, you look on the website to see if there's any guidelines there. If you work in theater, go on equity.org, I want to say. Just like they have different scales for if it's clothes, if it's shoes, and whatever, there might be an industry standard that we just don't know. That if we all start going into these rooms and talking about industry standard as a professional, that we're doing part of our job as being educators and teachers to change the industry as well.
If they want you to maintain a look, if it's a long run, if they want you to maintain a look, they would do this for anybody. It's the same thing like if guys have to get a haircut, blah, 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 blah. It's the same. Just think of it as the same thing. If it's a long run and you have to maintain something. So what I did one time is I don't really like people touching my hair. I do my own hair. So what I had them do was like, okay, by the end, I'm going to do my own hair for such and such amount of time. But I settled out of court for like, y'all buy me a dryer, a hair dryer.
So they can also buy tools.
That's useful to me. So like I worked it out because I'm not going to go to the hairdresser, so you're not going to pay that bill. Right. But what you can buy me is a hairdresser, a hair dryer. It's like you gotta, you can work it out. But the thing is, you just gotta think of it if it's a long run or if it's something you have to maintain. They would pay for that, and
they have to pay. It's in the budget. So all of that is in the budget already.
If they have to, if they want you to be blonde, if they have too many brunettes, they want you to be blonde, they're gonna pay for you to dye for your hair.
And they have to pay to dye back, correct?
Yeah. It's like if you have tattoos, you have to go to your tattoo artist and get clearance. Everything is if it's yours.
And none of this has to be nasty.
No.
You know what I'm saying? None of it has to be like. all you just have to do is say, well, these are the things I have to do. Just think ahead and say, this is what I'm gonna have to do to maintain what you want, or just like he was saying, just think before you come in, so you don't have these. And sometimes even when you still do, they're still gonna act crazy.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be nasty, nor does it have to be overly apologetic.
No, it does not.
This is a thing that I know I have so many conversations with male and female actors of color that we're afraid to ask for what we need. Because for whatever reason, there's some little part of us that feels like we don't deserve it, we don't want to feel like we're pushing too hard, but we have to really actively work against that. Just ask for what you need. Just say what you need in a very matter-of-fact way. Like she said, it doesn't have to be nasty. You say what you need. And when you don't provide an opportunity for, well, maybe I could, it's like, no, I just, you guys are renting? Cool, thank you. Because you just go on to the next thing. You don't even, you put too much energy on it, it turns into, we can kind
because
of,
I think,
you know what I mean? People have room, they feel like they have room with you.
Also, I think it's thinking about yourself as a true collaborator. And hair is just as much as a collaboration as how you're interpreting that line. And so to be in active dialogue with your designers about that, with the production team and or with your managers about that, it's just as valuable. And that information is just as valuable. And so you may be thinking, I'm not bringing it up, they should know this. No, it's just as valuable to be in dialogue and in that conversation. So.
And most of the time they will appreciate it.
No, it's absolutely.
Because honestly, if they're not a person of color and they're a creator, they already feel like a fish out of water, you know? So if you come to them with, it's like with anything, come to them with love and come to them as a teaching moment, they're gonna soak that thing up. You know, they're gonna be like, oh yes, they will start to apologize. I am so sorry, you know, like that will be a thing because they are now ignorant to what happened. So as long as you come into with love, then it should be fine.
But even as a person of color on the other side of the table, I think it's valuable. You know what I mean? Because I don't know how you do it. You know, I mean, or even Nakia, because she's a hair master. So you know what I mean? So I think, and wig designers, hair designers learn so much from what you're able to bring and be in dialogue and constant dialogue about.
And I find that takes out the charge, right?
That's
like
right.
as long as it's unspoken,
that's right.
There's this tension and the sphincters
right.
are tense and
right.
you say the wrong thing. and then it's angry and it's abrasive and then bridges get burned and you say things that can't be taken back.
Absolutely.
So it's about addressing the thing with love. I just want to make sure I get to Pascal.
Oh, I just have a question, and I think I've asked a couple of women while we were here, you know, like while we were kikiing before the setup and stuff. What is the purpose of the hair trailer when we get on set? If these questions are still a question, and the person who is standing behind you, like I've had a woman come up to me.
She said, "What is the purpose of a hair trailer?"
Natural or whatever. And she came at me with wet hands, and I was like, no, Chris, we don't do that. And you start at the back. No, but I think you should start at the front. I was like, no one's going to see. You'll mess up if you start at the back. I will do the front. I will take care of this, and you go here. And I tried to say that with as much love as possible. Again, I really need to understand what is the purpose of the hair trailer. If they don't get this stuff. Because if you're going to do hair, then you need to do all the hair.
Can I tell you something? I want to say something. If you work in the transportation unit of a film, you have to drive stick, you have to drive automatic, you have to drive an 18-wheeler, you have to drive whatever type of food truck. But for some reason in this industry, you can work in the hair department and only know how to do one type of hair. I really think there should be literally like a specific, some type of upgrade in the rule book, in the requirements when people join the union. I know a lot of really killer hair stylists, makeup artists who either don't want to join the union or have trouble joining the union because of being set back from whatever nepotism or whatever didn't happen for them. It disgusts me that we are having this problem that you can go to sleep at night and get up 2 hours before your call time to do your own hair when you get to set everybody else is all the products are there for somebody else. All the hair weave, wigs, clip-ins, they're there, but they're silky and they don't match your stuff.
You know what, and Saykon, I think you bring up a good point, and it's until we put pressure on the union and the industry as a whole, and I think it starts with our union and representations, right? It starts with the SAG, it starts with equity, to put pressure on other unions to be fully equipped to manage production, right?
It's not about Rex, man.
Yes.
It does. It
Reds
does.
begin with being like.
It does, but you know what?
With makeup too, you can get there and they only got 3 shades of color. They only have 3 shades.
But it's an industry-wide thing. So it's an industry-wide thing to make sure that if you're getting your union card as a hair designer, that you know how to do everybody's hair. So if you don't get allowed in.
To follow up, as we go through our daily lives, because we as one singular person can't necessarily address the entire industry. What would you say are the kind of questions we need to be asking during negotiations to put that kind of pressure in our daily lives? Is it something where, you got an offer for this film and it's going to be filming in Atlanta? Is that the time to then say, who's going to be the hair person? What are their qualifications? These are the kind of people I work with. My question is, what can we do as individuals that if literally the women in this room alone spent the rest of 2019 asking the same questions and putting that kind of industry pressure on it, I think that's the way things change from the ground up. So do you guys have any thoughts about what we can do individually and tell all of our other colleagues to do that by this time next year, during the lunch break, people are going to be saying, have you been asked about this thing?
Let us spark here. Let us spark it.
The question you asked is like Nakia was saying, when you think about, and you was mentioning this too, when you go in and you think about the look that you want, if you're a lawyer, whatever, so whatever look you go in with, right? Then the next question is, the look that I came in with, is that the look I'm going to have?
Yes. Yep. Because you get there and they change their mind.
That's what I'm looking for language to empower us.
The look I came in with, is that the look I'm going to have?
Yeah. That's very powerful because if you come in
and you just say, I have to ask you now because if not, I need to make preparation. So you need to. So I need a conversation now because that's going to take preparation. If something's going to. So can you? Whoever needs to talk to me, can they talk to me? But the other thing is, we got to keep it real. Everybody who's done TV and film. You know these people are not organized like that. No. So just know that your answer may never come back.
That's true.
You may be getting to that chair and still have it, so you still may have to figure it out. But you could start by asking it.
And to another piece of your point, I mean, I think from a macro standpoint, because I think that's absolutely, it's what's the advocacy when I'm on set, what's the advocacy when I'm in the room or in the chair. But I think from a macro point, we pay dues to unions to represent us. I think an action step would be is how much of a petition from African American actresses around the country who are all members of SAG that can ultimately have a letter to put pressure on other unions to be fully equipped to serve us.
When they know we're going to be there.
When we know we're going to be there. And that might mean how many African American hairstylists are in the union?
This was
okay, Tammy.
Stylists, or that I should say that stylists that know how to do the hair. Right?
So I just want to recap. Another action step is a possible petition with a letter asking about numbers, asking about statistics from our unions.
But I also would say that I've been in a chair with a black woman,
and it's not about.
Okay, I gotta lay it
not just that.
It's not just that.
It's not just that. It is a willingness to learn.
Yes, and has everyone seen the first Creed?
Yes.
Okay. Y'all remember the scene where Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson are on the bed, and he has a comb laying with her. Yes, with her braids. What was he doing with her? Who was the director of that film? The director of that film. What was he doing with that? But that goes to what Chris is saying. Regardless of who's behind it, there still has to. Yes,
the kid had a big old afro. When they went in his room, there was not an oil sheen can.
Where you look at something and you're like, what are you doing?
And I just want to follow up. Yes. I just want to follow up on your point about diversity of folks on the other side of the camera or on the other side of the table. That might be a job. That might be a new job. Like, you know, emotional intimacy.
Yes,
coaches are a new
yes,
job.
yes.
That might be a new job.
It is a job.
Right. It is a job. And I just wanted to make sure I saw the hands and acknowledge the hands. I'm going to get back to you.
Can I say?
2 seconds. I just wanted to set up something. My lovely with the pineapple, you're next.
Oh, it is. I did.
It's gorgeous. Tammy, you're after her. You're after Tammy. I want you to make your point and then we'll go over.
I don't remember what I was going to say now.
That's okay. If you remember, we'll get back to you.
No, you know what I was gonna say. This is a trick that I do. When I get the costume call, the first thing you did, if you're a TV film, the first call you get is costume.
First call.
And then
the
I
first
always,
person I send your information to is costumes. The first person.
So I always go, can I speak to somebody in hair and makeup?
Start dropping plant those.
Oh, I go in for your fitting.
When you go in your fitting, then you go to hair and
Yeah.
makeup and you ask, is there somebody on the set that can do my
Little
hair?
early conversation.
And then you have it, whether they can or can't, and then you take care of it.
So there's a certain amount of responsibility that we can take on.
Always ask the customers if somebody knows. And usually, my experience, especially recurring, I do a lot of recurring too. They hire somebody who can do my hair.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we just had the
Can you
experience.
get somebody who can do my hair?
There it is.
We just had the experience of being on a show in Canada where the woman who was doing the hair, shout out to Roselle,
Yeah.
she called me before I even got there, and I was like, oh my God. She was like, so what's going on? What is your? She wanted to know what my situation was, what she needed to prepare for. Got into the room. She's a woman of color. She knew what to do.
She's great. But also she got our products. That's another
She
thing.
she asked ahead of time, what kind of cream do you like? What kind of oil do you like? Yeah, I was like, I was like, wow.
Especially if you have a recurring role, you can most definitely say, these are the things that I use in my hair. So
And even my wig, she took such
what
good
is
care
this
of my
fake gel
wig.
you're trying to put in my hair?
So what I'm hearing that it's about self-advocacy, taking initiative, and building relationship as soon as possible.
And I was just saying, just because you're actors doesn't mean you take away the regular human life. You know, like if you feel comfortable in a room, you're going to speak up. You know, as a human being, that doesn't leave the room as an actor.
I agree with you. I've been working through that myself.
I want to make sure I get around. Tamara.
So I'm a hairstylist. I've been a hairstylist for the past 10 years. I focus primarily on natural hair, and it definitely is something that you're not taught in school. Everything that I do now, I knew before I went, and I just went so that they could tell me now I'm allowed to do it. So that's number one, and then number two, in school they don't teach you how to get into a union. So that's also They tell you like, oh, you know, you have these opportunities to work in the industry and in Hollywood, but they don't tell you how to do it. You know, so that's also something that you have to navigate on your own once you get out, in the midst of building clientele, building a business, So if there could also, like, in trying to find people who are qualified, people who are qualified also have to know how to get in, because there's tons of people that want to get in, but they don't know how. And I've done, you know, several people who are in the industry, but it's always because they found me. Right, like
Tammy did my hair today.
So it's like, it's always this, you know, haphazard type of, you know, meetings. Like they're in the chair, I'm like, well, what did you want today? And in conversation over the next hour and a half, I find out they're in some sort of industry. Oh, I'm a singer, actor. I'm like, oh, well, you know, how do you navigate to find these people naturally, or like, you know, to get into the union, there are all these rules, and you know, one is like you have to do a certain amount of shows, but you can't do the shows, you know, not union type of thing. So, okay,
And
money
harder for the African American stylists because they don't have as much work, and you need the hours.
And you need hours to get in.
And so it's this
right. And the thing, to your point, where you know you want someone who knows how to do everything. They teach white hair in school, so we know everything. We're taught that, but then I also have the, you know, 30-something years, you know, of doing my own hair and everyone who looks like me. So you have the people that are equipped, not everyone, because there are some folks who don't know how to do it, but it's just because that's not the focus in school. You know, so if you have someone who does know what they're doing, then trying to create a way for them to get in is a whole other animal. You know,
My lovely Anna.
This may be a relevant question, but it's to do with the anecdote that you started with the actress that was hired and then fired. New York has just changed their law. Can
Yes.
Do they work around that law now, or do you guys exempt from that law?
What is the law?
The law is they cannot fire you for wearing your hairstyle. Whatever hairstyle you walked in and you were hired with, they have to maintain it. And I was wondering, are we exempt from that law?
I think something with entertainment is a little different because even if you're working in Vegas, they can have it in your contract that you can't gain or lose 10 pounds if you're a showgirl.
Right.
So I think because of the physicality of it, but I'm curious. I think that's a very good question because there were flight attendants that were getting fired for having their hair in braids and working as flight attendants. So I think it's a good question.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I know we as Black women know what wigs look like. You know, and Nakia had beautiful wigs, 1, 2, right? If you all walked into a room that someone who was not a person of color, they would not think that was a wig. So when we're talking about like wigs and terminology, just realize when a lot of people think of wigs, they think of Party City. They think of braids. They don't think of these beautiful creations that Nakia and a lot of women that we know can make. So just always keep that in the back of your mind. That I always say, and a lot of casting directors say, that when you go into an audition room, they are envisioning you the first day on set. Yes. So what Nakia was saying, when you walk in with that hair, sometimes of course they change their mind and they're like, oh, let's do something different. But a lot of times when you walk into that audition room and that producer, that showrunner, that studio exec is looking at that audition, they're thinking that's how you're going to show up to set. So I always say, whatever you have in that headshot, whatever you have going in there, that should be at arm's reach at all times. You know, if you are someone who always rocks box braids and you have that in your headshot, that's fine. But if you're just like, I'm doing box braids for the summer and I'm gonna get some headshots, and then you come in with box braids and then the summer's over and then you're not in the box braids, well, what happened with the box braids? And then now you gotta go and get your girl to do your box braids and like all this stuff, you know? So just realize that they are envisioning you first day on set, always have your stuff at hand's reach.
I had a situation where I happened to audition for a show. I went and did a tape real quick just before I was about to take a vacation, and I had this kinky curly weave in my hair. And I went and did the tape real quick, and I was getting ready to take my little trip. And my agent called, and I actually booked the role. And I was like, oh shit. So I was like, now I gotta get a wig that looks like this. So it was similar, the stress of, I usually always wear XYZ wig for this audition, XYZ wig for that audition. But I learned my lesson hard because it was stressful trying to recreate an everyday version of the look that they saw that booked me on that job.
And it's not necessarily fair, but a part of being an industry professional with natural hair is having those looks available to you at your hand and working it in your business plan, working it into your budget, whatever you need to do. That's just part of you being a business person.
I know, I've seen you with every kind of hairstyle. Under the rainbow. From TW. She did it. I've seen you with all your different looks. And I see how you book, you work regardless. You feel like you're going in with your natural hair. I see how you work regardless. That's the thing I think is not having fear that, oh my God, if I wear my natural hair, I won't book. Or oh my God, if I wear this perm look, I won't book. If it's for you, it's for you. And like the young lady who took a stance, she took a stance. Yes. And I'm sure she's still working.
No, she booked something.
Yeah, she didn't need to be on that show. You know what I mean? Let it go. She didn't need to be on that show.
I agree.
They're going to be fighting with her on set about something else.
I was going to say, I agree. I think the thing about this industry, whether it's hair or just as a black woman in the industry, in every way they want us to compromise, is knowing what the rules of the game are, and knowing what rules you're willing to play by, because that makes you an artist. So I also think about Crystal's hair. Like, she got locks.
Yes.
I don't never see her with no wig, no straight, but she wears.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, she's really inspired. I'm curious, can I ask how you have been able to manage this industry with a style that people probably are looking at as subversive and,
I know we left.
I just try to be me.
Yeah.
There's sometimes where I think where there's a thing that's a period thing. Like I went in for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I was like, okay, that's a stretch. Even I couldn't even be like, that's gonna be okay.
Get your prison curls.
So what I did was I had a wig that I put on the front, I put a little scarf on the back, and I just made it work for that. But for the most part, I just think to myself, if this, just like you said, if this is me doing this, how I'm gonna do my hair, and I do it, and that's it, and I just go. And I had a friend. I have a friend who worked. I have a good friend, Shanola Hampton. She's on the show Shameless. I actually started her live. We went to school. And she told me a story about that somebody was in a room, the casting person was in a room. This is early on because I've been working for a long time. And so some person was like, she come in with that hair. I mean, it's just But you know what? That's her problem. And it took me a long time. Now, I don't mean to sound like, I'm so enlightened. It took me a long time to get to that point where I'm just like, that's their problem. But it really is. It really is their problem. Like, this works for me. I have this hair makes me feel good. So I have to do what makes me feel good. I've tried to put on wigs. I've tried it. I feel like an imposter. It just doesn't work for me. You know, I have tried it. Every once in a while, I put a little Afro bun. That's about as far as I can go. Because it just feels
really
like
cute.
But I just try always to do what works for me, what feels good to me. Because I know if I go in and feel false, that's what's going to come out.
In a second. It's like, again, just because we're in the entertainment industry doesn't mean you take away the human nature. You can tell when someone's being fake and phony when you're talking to them. We always say it takes 15 seconds for someone to fall in love with you, right? Right in that 15 seconds. So in any of your auditions, find a way to get that. Now I'm doing something else. But find a way to have us fall in love with you in the first 15 seconds, right? And that's with life. You're talking to someone, I just do not, why don't I like you? You know? What's not like you? But if you're not being your true authentic self, we not only can see it, we can smell it, we can feel it, we can, it's just so sensory that we know that you are not comfortable.
And your true authentic self may be your hair is not popping.
And that's okay. Keep it moving.
And I also want to
thank
you. I want to acknowledge that we as women of color have a tightrope to walk as being our authentic selves anyway.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So when that comes into our work, we don't have to beat ourselves up about it. But it's part of our work to go, oh, that's that white supremacy. And cool. And then do our work.
We'll be back in a moment.
And having a conversation with my boyfriend who's a black male actor, right? And he's talking about things, and I was like, the first thing anyone should do, anyone period, but I think we as black women and black men should have a conversation with your reps. What black person are you? What type of black person are you? Now, some people will not do Homegirl on the Block, will not do it, and that's their prerogative. Some people will do it if it calls for it, but you need to have that conversation with your reps. And you can't get mad at them for submitting you for things that they do not know that you're not comfortable with. Now, if they keep doing it, then of course have a conversation. But you need to have that conversation with them off the jump and saying things that you are comfortable with and are not. Similar, if you're comfortable with being nude, you would tell them.
Oh, that's what made me laugh. I was like, I'm 40 years old. All of a sudden, everybody wants to see my titties. It's hilarious to me. Like, everything like
what Camilla was talking about, having that collaboration, space.
Okay, so we're thank you. We're getting to the end of our time, so to make sure everyone has a question, could you raise your hand real quick?
Come on.
I just want to say one thing.
Two seconds. I just want to wrap up this little process. Adrian, I know you had your hand up. I want to make sure I acknowledge you. You good? You good? All right, so I'm going to do, because I've been ignoring this side, I'm going to give you guys numbers, and then what we'll probably do is take the question, throw it to somebody, 2 or 3 minutes, and keep it popping. So 1, 2. had a question. 5, 6, 7.
Raise the hand. Really raise it.
I'm sorry. Everybody remember their numbers? Yes, we're good for time. Really good. So I think we're gonna take your question. We're gonna toss it to someone. Maybe somebody's gonna catch that bad boy. Maybe a minute, 2 minutes tops, and we'll try to get everybody in.
Right.
So if you remember your number, because I don't, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Crystal. Yes.
I can be a bit Pollyannish. I do know this, but what I want to say is that what I'm finding, even for myself, is that they are actually looking for you. You don't have to do much. Like you actually can be like we're coming into a time. Thank God.
Come on.
Where there are rising people who actually just want how you look. Like there's opportunities for you to just be like, I'm going to that. I wore this all day. I went to an audition in this.
Like I wish you guys could see what we see up here, because y'all are gorgeous.
Yes.
And they want
just
you.
consider that sometimes when you feel like I gotta do, you gotta do you. Like go, just try it. Try it for once. Be like, fuck it. You know what? Absolutely. I know that they might think this is complicated and crazy, but fuck it. If I'm a mom, this is how I would look if I'm going to take my kids somewhere. I'm doing this. I'm doing it, and I think that there's more room. There's beginning to be more room for all of us. Try it at least once. Just try to be like, whatever, however you want, wig, no wig, whatever it is, just be like, you know what, this is me today. This is how I would do it, and go do it. Try it.
Right.
Number 1.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like we've kind of touched on this, but kind of had different responses, and maybe Susan, you can speak to this. If you are someone who it's spring, I want my hair to be a certain way. It's summer, maybe I want to rock the fro. It's winter, I'm going to have a protective style. I do like to change my hair. So, do you find it important, especially if you are not at that reoccurring phase yet in your life, but will happen, to keep a consistent style? And do you need a headshot that matches the style for that season?
I personally have a headshot for every. I have like three headshots that we use. If I do a self that we do, self-tape world nowadays, y'all. So whenever I have to remind my agents now, even though I do the self-tape, I submit it, or sometimes somebody at the agency might help me. If I do a self-tape with a long straight hair, I say don't forget, put the straight hair headshot on there. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times they add the little headshot at the top of the. If we doing it with the kinky fro, put the kinky fro headshot on there. You know what I mean? Like you're not the same every day. So I don't think it's so bad to have a couple of different headshots. If you're going in for some lawyer kind of thing, you got your headshot that looks a little more serious. You going in for bimbo, you got your headshot that looks a little more bimbo. You know what I mean? So I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, it's about being a businesswoman and structuring your business so that you have things that represent you, and then you can duplicate what represents you.
Yeah.
But I also think that, to answer your question about if it matches, I kind of enjoy opportunities when I see a headshot and I see the versatility versus I'm seeing you now, but then I also see a photo. Oh, she can also look like this. So I know it's always a pressure, but this is what my headshot is, so I got to. I enjoy that because now I say, oh, okay, now we can have conversations, and I can my imagination starts to run everything in between that look.
I love that your imagination runs, but I run into people who
truly. No, it's the
same person.
No, it's right.
I didn't know it was the same person.
Right, you're absolutely right. But I think going back to the point that
you, and
that the Pollyannish, that we have to continue to put pressure, that they have many people whose imaginations can run because they understand the spectrum
they need to have
who we are.
Yes.
They need to. If you're telling our story, you need to.
So in terms of getting a wig, doesn't necessarily need to replicate exactly what your natural hair is going to do. If I'm buying a kinky curly wig, do I need to not be concerned about the length because I'm going to walk on set and they're going to be like, the wig might come off and they're like, oh wait, your hair is actually short, but we want it to go up. This wig does not go up. That kind of stuff. I guess this is a question for you. How do you navigate that then? If I'm looking for a straight, relaxed, do I have to be concerned about length to match my own?
I would say only be concerned about how you want to walk into the room and how you want to present yourself. If you want to present yourself, looking like glamour girl with hair down to here, then you do that. But if you're more comfortable with something that's short and funky, if your headshot is kinky, curly, short like this, and you just want another option that they assume is the same, then I would get a straighter wig that's about here, because your hair probably when it's straight comes to here. Yeah. So I think that's really about you and your preference about how you want to show up in the world and how you want to be presented to them. Yeah.
Because Barbie, they can't do everything with your hair.
Time is of the essence on set. Time is everything,
Yeah, and they're not gonna. Yes, if you come in with a wig to here, they're not gonna say, "Oh, your headshot was like this. Why can't?" No, it's however they're assuming your hair is. If you come to the audition with this wig, if you told them this is what it's gonna be, they're assuming they're gonna be doing this. Maybe they'll add a curl to it. Maybe they'll straighten it out. But I don't think you have to worry about that problem.
And then if you do get to the point where, like, say you get booked on a job where you're recurring, you're going to be on 3 episodes or something, maybe you might have a full afro, because if you don't want to use your real hair, maybe you might have an afro that looks like your hair, maybe you might have an afro puff, you know what I mean? Just in case you want to do the updo vibe and put the puff on. It's just two little pieces to throw in your suitcase. If like thinking forward that you're booking in that way and that you're going to be in a place where you're going to be working several times and get to change the look. But a lot of times it just be the same look every time anyway. You know what I mean?
Number 3.
I'm number 3.
Hi.
This is kind of a cheat because it's not technically a question, but I hope it was okay to share anyway. So the first day that I had arrived at the McCarter, they asked me, so we're gonna have a hair consultation, and I was like, okay. So I came and I sat down with them, and they said, so in the play it says that you might get rained on or whatever in that first act. Are you comfortable with your hair getting wet that way? And in that moment, I felt a bead of inspiration, but also a bead of connection somehow to some other Black woman who came before me, who spoke up and spoke about their hair, and that then ignited, or that gave them the impetus to think about that, to carry it forward for me. And so, if anything, like that is a reason to always, if you can, say something, because it might take forward. Exactly.
We definitely needed you to say that.
I was very,
Thank you. Number 4. Ooh, yes.
I'm number 4. I guess my question has already been answered. But I just wanted to comment on it. I'm a hair chameleon. Like, I shaved my hair off. I threw a texturizer in. I have braids. I'm thinking about maybe going blue, maybe. I don't know. But I have my go-to wigs that like my signature looks depending on the role. So I guess my question was really answered when you said a key thing, and it was how you envision yourself, or how you want to show up, and how you want to structure your business, the business of who you are. But I guess a new question that arose from that is, so if I do show up with my signature big curly whatever, can we bring in products that we are safe with, or like when do we when can we ask them or tell them, I guess, which products are best for our hair?
So tell them how to do the job they're supposed to know.
Yeah, like assuming that when we do that, or like how much heat is safe enough for this $700 wig.
I think it's about what Saycon and Crystal were talking about in terms of having the conversations and being direct but still being nice. If you're bringing in a wig and you're saying, hey, can we just talk, really quickly, since I've been wearing this, I'm bringing my own wig on set, and what usually works for this is this. So I just brought these products in, just so you can know what usually works. I think it can be as easy and as simple as that. And that's the same thing as makeup. Sometimes you bring your own.
I do that all the time.
If you're a day playing, or for TV, if you day playing, you gotta understand, they're not gonna buy a whole bunch of products. So to bring your own stuff makes sense to me. If you got more than one, is gonna be there for a little bit, you take pictures of what you and send it. Just take pictures, have your reps send it along, or you can just say, can you please send us 2 hair and makeup so they can have it when I get it.
They can
very important to
They
keep.
get a kid feed.
That's nothing. They're supposed to buy this. That's nothing. That's no problem at all.
It's important to keep that in mind depending on what type of job it is.
And if you're doing a play, it's the same thing. Just take a picture of what you need, send it along. It's not hard.
It's not as big of a mountain as you think.
It's not.
And there are budgets just for
There
that.
are budgets.
Makeup has a kit. They have
There are
makeup
budgets
fees.
just
They
for
have
that.
kit fees.
For yourself.
And a lot of times they get that free.
Yes,
And it's like
they're
she
sponsored.
said, when you're going in for the costume fitting, that's usually a good time.
That's a good time to have a
Go
conversation.
say hi.
It's all in the same area.
That's great.
I hope you all enjoyed that. Oh, it was such a wonderful time. Let me tell you, when I first arrived, I was so happy to see all of those women. So many familiar faces, women whose work I love and adore. And it was just beautiful for us all to be in one space at the same time and not, at an audition situation. We usually always see each other and we're rushing. We're on our way to an audition, or we're having to focus and be quiet, and we're in a lobby area, or surrounded by people we don't know. But it was just beautiful to be all in the same space at the same time. Thanks again for listening. Check back for more hair talk. I'm going to be doing a really great interview with some really important people who work in the entertainment industry in hair. So stay tuned.
Search SayconTalks on YouTube for performances and video. Honey Wax.